I just finished a Bionicle marathon as an incredibly stretched out way of celebrating a franchise from my youth. But Bionicle wasn't the only thing I liked as a kid, as you may have suspected, and so I want to give attention to some of those other series I enjoyed. I watched a lot of Nickelodeon as a kid, but there's way too many SpongeBob games, so we're just gonna have to go with one of the shows from another network that I enjoyed, such as the semi-popular Disney Channel cartoon American Dragon Jake Long. Unlike some of the other shows of my childhood, I've never gone back to watch American Dragon, not that I could if I wanted to. Did you know that buying the show on iTunes is the only legal way to watch it anymore, at least in America? I'm serious, it was never released on DVD, it's not available for streaming, and it's not in the reruns anymore. I just have a feeling it wouldn't hold up to adult sensibilities. But back when I did watch the show, there were 2 games released based on it, one for the GBA and one for the DS. So how do these compare to the show?
He's gonna stop his enemies with his dragon power. Dragon teeth, dragon tail, burning dragon fire. Real live wire, American dragon. Dragon up.
I'll admit I started this waiting for it to be lackluster. But look at that, it was made by Way Forward. That means I have to have expectations now. Anyway, this is Rise of the Hunts Clan for the GBA, and I'm immediately reminded why I don't want to go back to the show anymore. It was really trying to be hip. Try not to cringe reading Jake's dialogue. And he's got a skateboard as a mechanic too. This is a side-scroller beat-em-up, and oh Jesus, Jake moves slow. Use that skateboard. Right, side-scrolling beat-em-up. 2 dimensions of movement. You ever play Ninja Warriors on the SNES? Damn good game, but you ain't getting that level of complexity here. Jake only has 1 attack, a punch that's the greatest at maintaining a combo ever. He can use it in midair, which causes him to hover until he's finished, but other than that, he's pretty weak on his own. That's why the skateboard's nice. Not only does it allow Jake to move faster and jump farther, he can combo attack while moving, though it doesn't lock enemies as well as his dragon claws. But Jake is the American dragon, so of course he can turn into a dragon. Defeating enemies drops focus orbs, and filling up a meter with them allows Jake to transform with his classic Dragon Up! As a dragon, Jake can swipe with either his tail or claws, he can outright fly, and I think he can breathe fire, but I never got that to work. It's a classic timed transformation. He's better, but it doesn't last long. As a mechanic, I think it works, if only there was a way to earn focus faster by playing well. You know what other mechanic works? Character upgrades. Again, I wish there was a way to reward good playing, but after every stage you can upgrade one of Jake's attributes. I started with his speed because his walking is painfully slow, but you can get other useful stats like life and attack power up too. I just don't recommend spending anything on dragons since you spend so little time in that state. The first level is spent beating up trolls that I don't remember from the show, but that's probably on me, and yeah, that's all you do, no boss or anything. I guess they want to ease the player into the game to start, get you used to your skateboard, your dragon powers, the enemies you'll be fighting like these bomb trolls that can go fuck themselves, and using these French tokens. You collect these for a quick summon. Grandpa rains fire on people, the dog drops a lot of focus, and Jake's friends drop health that just falls through the ground, which makes them hard to grab. The second level is all about climbing up the side of a really tall building. I'd say it sucks because vertical platforming is always a pain in game without fall resets, but frequent platforms mean you won't fall very far. And like I said before, as a dragon, Jake can fly. The only thing stopping you is mandatory fights. Respect to any game that can make an annoying trope at least tolerable, even if it's only because they effectively give you the ability to cheat it. This is also where I noticed how unusual the jump is. Height is fine, but Jake suddenly picks up speed in the air, so jumps get a lot of unexpected horizontal distance. At the top, it's all about platforming on the top of buildings of New York. I guess this means there's a threat to falling to your death, but with that super long jump, it's not a very founded fear. But this stage has something special so far, a boss fight against the Hunts Girl. She's not very fun to fight with an annoying amount of invincibility frames, but I'm more questioning her motives for fighting. I repeat that it's been a very long time since I've watched this, and I don't remember all of who knows Jake's secret identity, but what would the Hunts Girl have against not the American Dragon, but Jake Long? That's basically all there is to say about the game. Levels after that repeat the same enemies and structure, and they didn't add any more complexity to the combat or platforming in the time I played. I know it's a licensed game they just did for the paycheck, but I know WayForward is more capable than this. Actually, their games I like came later, so maybe they weren't. And all in all, this really is pretty good. It controls well, it's got good mechanics, and it's pretty fun to play. The sprite work is satisfactory. I wouldn't accept this as a WayForward game if that wasn't the case, though the music's forgettable. I guess that's why they don't list the specific composer, and holy shit, Paul Robertson worked on this.
I guess he still has a good relationship with Disney.
The other game was Attack of the Dark Dragon, developed by WayForward again. I'd like to remind you both of these games were released the same day. I guess they weren't busy with original games at that time. And it probably wasn't too taxing on them because this game is almost the same gameplay-wise. This is also a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up where the main enemies are trolls and the focus is needed to turn into a dragon, but I can highlight some differences. Being a third-party DS game intended for kids, of course it feels the need to make use of every new feature the handheld has to offer. Most obvious is the 3D graphics, which there's a reason they stick to 2D animation when they have the choice. It also uses the touchscreen for actions buttons could have easily handled, like transforming into a dragon. Or you can do it by yelling "Dragon up" into the microphone.
Okay, I'll let that one slide for being fucking awesome.
The two versions have give and take in their designs. I feel like I've done this comparison before. Jake moves faster on the ground, but they removed his skateboard, so say goodbye to that extra approach to combat. He can't stun lock well anymore, but he's Saitama now, so combos are an impossibility. Don't worry, not every enemy goes down with one punch, just the weak ones. I think Jake's basically at his max upgraded form, which is good because there's no upgrade system anymore. The dragon form is where we see the most changes. No longer can he fly indefinitely, but he's got access to other powers to compensate, selected by rotating a dial on the touchscreen, which means taking your fingers off the action. He can hover where ascension is really difficult to discern, breathe fire, and shield himself for what may be total invulnerability. I don't know, I never used it in battle. That sounds weird, why have them if I won't use them, but their real purpose is puzzle solving. Not sure it's good design to require extended use of a timed form, but it's cool. They scattered these infinite focus drops all over the place. That's totally a good fix. That may sound a little weak, but the American Dragon's powers are actually incredibly destructive. They're so intense that the game can't render everything properly. Yep, this is another one of those games that just doesn't emulate properly, so you'll have to pretend this show takes place in a universe where New York...
Attention viewers, this segment has been preemptively cut because making jokes about missing buildings in New York is probably an incredibly bad idea. We now return to your regularly scheduled review, already in progress.
Where Central Park is caught in the end of the world. Other than that, the two games are pretty close besides level designs. I imagine they begin to differ later on when the villain reveals themselves as the Dark Dragon rather than the Hunt's clan as the title demonstrates, but I didn't get far enough to see him. Not because of boredom of the game this time, I just wasn't able to get much further with these corrupted environments. But I think I've seen all I need to with what the hell is this? Yeah, so this game has alternate gameplay stages. I don't know if there are any more of these later on or any other departures, but at least there's some variety here. Think of this like the biplane stages in Crash 3, shoot down a certain number of enemies to beat the level. It's not as open as it appears, there's actually buildings everywhere I can't see. That's why I had such a hard time here and why there's a bunch of footage of Jake not moving anywhere. Don't do emulation, kids.
So, after a marathon of substandard Bionicle games, a series that deserved good games, how does the actually substandard American Dragon hold up? Pretty damn well, actually. Seriously, I just enjoyed both of these games. It's not even just that they're harmless for kids or nostalgia when I barely remember the show. They're just both decent. I'm starting to understand the internal conflict Nostalgia Critic expressed with the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. But good on you, WayForward, you've yet to disappoint me. Oh, but this isn't the end of my childhood classic games, so tune in this spooky Halloween for the follow-up and conclusion.
Thank you so much for watching this video. It seriously means a lot to me as a small-time YouTuber. But you know what would help me grow? If you liked the video, share it around and subscribe. I know that's a cliche thing to say, but it really does help. And if you could spread the love to the Let's Play channel I'm part of and my Twitter account, I'd appreciate it just as much. There's another video coming, but until then, feel free to check out my last review or anything else in the backlog.